When a human-shaped spaceship lands on Earth, the world is threatened by a robotic creature with superpowers. Today we're going to recap the story of the movie. Meet Dave. From 2008, in the middle of outer space, an unidentified flying object travels to planet Earth. After passing through the atmosphere, it heads towards the bedroom window of Josh, a boy who was watching the sky with his telescope. Josh is startled, but manages to dodge the object, which bounces around the room until it lands in his aquarium. When she hears the noise, the boy's mother, Gina, appears and Josh explains what happened, but she doesn't believe him and tells him to go to bed because it's already late. After she leaves the room, Josh goes to see the flying object and mysteriously, it starts sucking up all the water in the aquarium in a small whirlpool. 3 months pass and a huge fireball falls on the planet, very close to the Statue of Liberty. However, instead of a meteor or comet, the celestial body has the shape of a human being, wearing a white suit and tie. Although it looks like a person, this being from space is able to restore its body and clothes with advanced technology, and moves robotically. A few minutes after his arrival, he goes to a boat, where he has his first contact with human beings. A lady smiles kindly at him, but the mysterious fellow returns the smile with very strange grimaces. Far away, in a police station, the sergeant sends 2 of his officers, Stevie and Dooley, to check on the fireball. Little do they know that the guy from outer space is in the middle of New York, discovering more about humans and their customs. He imitates people's gestures, stands in front when a family tries to take a photo and even plays with a doll that blows soap bubbles. Finally, he tries to cross the street, unaware that the signal was for pedestrians to stop, and is hit by a car, which throws him away. By coincidence, the driver of the car is Gina, who runs desperately to help the pedestrian. Although the accident has broken his legs, he gets up without difficulty and leaves before she can help him. Minutes later, he hides in an alley and it is revealed that the guy is actually a spaceship. It is piloted by alien beings similar to humans, but tiny in size. They are named according to the number on their uniforms and are led by the captain, who created the ship based on his appearance. He then analyzes the damage to the ship from the hit and asks his team to make the necessary repairs. He then reminds his team of their main mission, to recover the orb that crashed on Earth. The aliens need him to collect salt from the oceans, as this is the main source of energy on their planet, called Nil. Luckily for them, the alley in which they are hiding is right next to Josh's house, the same boy who found the orb. He's about to go to school, but when he looks in the window, he sees the ship that looks like a person standing in the alley and warns his mother. The 2 go there and Gina recognizes him from the accident. She tries to apologize for what happened and all the aliens inside the ship are nervous about how they will respond to their first human contact. Finally, the captain turns on the ship's speakerphone to talk to Gina, but the sound is so loud that it hurts her and her son's ears. The crew soon solves the problem and the captain says he accepts her apology, but the woman also invites him to her home. When they get there, Gina offers him a glass of water and asks what the guy's name is. Not having an answer ready, the captain asks number 3 to list the most common names in the world and then decides to introduce himself as Dave. The 2 continue their conversation until, in one of the cupboards, Dave finds a photo of Josh with the orb in his hand. Now that he knows where his target is, he says goodbye to Gina and sets off in search of the boy. On the way to school, Dave's formal clothes begin to attract a lot of attention from the people around him. The captain then orders them to find somewhere to change their look and the crew takes Dave to a clothing clearance store. After choosing a shirt, the team tries to get Dave to put it on. However, the ship's controls weren't ready for this maneuver and Dave gets stuck in the clothes. He tries to free himself, but instead gets in the way and starts knocking over everything in the store. Fortunately, one of the clerks helps him choose a comfortable outfit, but he has yet to pay for it. Dave uses his scanner to copy the model from the money and, as he enters the fitting room, he starts producing several copies, which go off in a very strange place. Now in more normal clothes, the crew set off in search of Josh. Meanwhile, the boy plays with the orb at school, but a class bully takes the toy from him by force. A few minutes later, Dave finds the school and goes to Josh's classroom. The 2 of them talk and the boy says that the orb was taken by the boy in his class, but that the boy has already left. The 2 agree to go after him in a store he frequents, but they can't find him. Suddenly, 2 armed robbers appear and demand the money from the store, while ordering everyone to lie down on the floor and not resist. Everyone around obeys the bandits, except Dave, who stares at the 2 without moving. The thief points his gun at him and this attitude makes number 2 so furious that he asks the captain to give them what they deserve. To make matters worse, one of the thugs tries to punch Dave in the face. However, he easily blocks the attack with just one hand and then throws the man into a pile of soft drinks. The other bandit then points his revolver at Dave's face, but with a single squeeze of his fingers, he crushes the barrel of the gun and throws it away. The thief flees in despair and Josh, impressed with his new friend's skills, invites him to stay at his house until they find the orb. Number 2 doesn't like this idea, but the captain tells him that they need a guide to find the artifact. So the two of them go to the boy's house, who is increasingly impressed by Dave when he sees him playing video games using only one hand. Seconds later, Gina comes home and Josh tells her everything that happened. His mother thanks Dave for saving her son's life and invites him to dinner. Meanwhile, near the Statue of Liberty, police officers Dooley and Stevie check the spot where the fireball fell. After cleaning up the site and using plaster to create a mold, Dooley is surprised to see that the object that fell to Earth is shaped like a human face. He doesn't know it yet, but the face is that of Dave who, far away, is having dinner with Gina and Josh. After the meal, the ship sees a picture hanging on the wall and the captain asks what it is. Gina explains that the picture is of a heart and that it represents the greatest human feeling, love. This is one more thing that the ship's crew don't understand, but Gina explains that one day, Dave will understand when he feels it for the first time. The conversation continues very pleasantly, but Dave decides to leave in search of a place to rest. After a while, he meets a homeless man who offers him his only blanket. The crew are impressed by this kind act and decide to accept the invitation. With the ship in sleep mode, the crew goes to rest, but the captain and number 3 are still curious about humanity. The two of them meet in the cockpit and she tells them that she has found something that humans love, the classic Christmas movie, It's a Wonderful Life. She and the captain decide to watch the movie and are so moved by it that, for a moment, they both let their feelings for each other slip. But before they can reciprocate, they come to their senses and decide to get on with their jobs. The next morning, the two policemen return to the police station and show them their great discovery. They say that a human-shaped alien must have fallen with the fireball, but the sergeant thinks it's all nonsense and tells them to get back to work. Even so, Dooley doesn't give up and decides to publish the sketch of the alien, so that other people can help him find him. Meanwhile, Dave finally wakes up and the captain is informed that the ship only has 12 hours of power left. He then orders everyone to focus on recovering the orb, otherwise they won't be able to return to their planet. However, Gina and Josh invite their new friend for another night of fun and the captain decides to accept. Together they go to the amusement park and there Dave takes part in a hot dog eating competition. Thanks to his technological body, he manages to swallow them all at top speed and even wins a teddy bear as a gift. At number 3's request, the captain makes Dave give Gina a present, which makes her very happy. The fun night continues, but the bully boy finds Josh in the park and starts tormenting him again. Despite this, Josh asks for the orb back, but the boy says he won't give it back and tries to punch him. At that moment, Dave appears, grabs the bully's arm and then hangs him upside down. Thanks to this, the orb falls out of his jacket pocket and Dave finally retrieves it. Afterwards, he puts the young man back down and tells him not to bother Josh again. With the problem solved, Dave and the crew can leave and get on with their mission. However, Gina and Josh invite them to continue in the park and the captain accepts, even though number 2 insists that they get back to work. So the three of them go to a hut to hit bottles with baseballs. On the first pitch, Dave misses, but the captain is so obsessed with winning that he pitches again, only much harder. However, this causes the ball to go through the netting of the hut, hit a rooster statue and be thrown back, right into Dave's forehead. Because of the impact, the ship is disabled and the crew lose their balance inside the cockpit. Hours later, Dave is taken to hospital, where the doctors try to resuscitate him using a defibrillator. After a few attempts, the electrical discharge not only reactivates the ship, but also recharges all its energy. Gina and Josh are relieved by this and the three of them leave the hospital, but before they go, Dave, under orders from the captain, invites mother and son to dinner. This gesture by the captain becomes the last straw for number 3, who calls him a fool for wanting to join the humans. The ship's leader is furious and tells him to leave the cockpit. After this discussion, the captain resumes his conversation with Gina, who chooses a Cuban restaurant for dinner. At that moment, one of the hospital nurses hears the conversation and recognizes Dave's face in the sketch released by Dooley. He then calls the police station and informs the officer that he has found his target. Later, Dave, Gina and Josh enjoy the evening in the restaurant and the ship's crew also enjoy the moment. After a few drinks, Gina invites Dave onto the dance floor. There, the captain tries to control the robot to dance, but this skill is not his strong suit. Number 4 decides to take over and shows everyone how it's done. Everyone continues to have a good time, but number 2 finds all this unacceptable and organizes a mutiny against the captain, along with other colleagues on the ship. If that wasn't bad enough, Dooley and Stevie arrive at the Cuban restaurant and order Dave's arrest. The two of them take him to an interrogation room to find out who or what he is. Meanwhile, number 3 and his group arrive in the cockpit and announce to everyone that they are going to take control of the ship. The captain tries to stop this act of rebellion, but is surrendered by number 2, who soon appoints himself the new captain of the ship. The situation between the numbers becomes increasingly tense, while outside, Stevie gets tired of waiting for an answer from Dave and calls Dooley to talk outside. The two of them debate what to do with the prisoner, without suspecting that, inside him, the whole team is divided by the rebellion of number 2. Even so, the new captain announces that from now on, his species and the humans are at war. His first order in this new role is to get out of the room. He then orders the crew to activate the proton gun, located on one of Dave's fingers, and the ship promptly takes aim at the wall and fires a huge wave of energy. The shot from his gun startles the policemen who, without thinking twice, fire their weapons at the alien ship. However, Dave activates his heat shield, in the form of his all-white suit, and easily blocks the shots. The confrontation with the police sends the ship's crew into a panic, especially number 17, who jumps out of Dave's ear and falls into a coffee cup. The clash continues and the police unload their weapons against the ship, but nothing avails against its protective shield. Dave then heads for the exit and meets Gina and Josh, who were waiting for him there. However, under the control of number 2, he ignores his friends and fires his gun again to escape. Outside, more vehicles surround the alien ship, only for Dave to fire at one of them, which jumps with the explosion and almost crushes the policeman. Number 2 is amused by this, but he has to hurry and orders number 3 to show him the quickest route back to the Statue of Liberty. However, she leaves the cockpit and heads for the captain's cell. Once there, she finishes off one of the guards, removes the captain's handcuffs, and the two of them team up to deactivate the ship before anything worse happens. However, the two end up being surrendered by more guards and taken back to the cabin. Seeing the two traitors, number 2 decides to throw them out and, with a command on the panel, he sends them out of the ship through Dave's nose. Outside the ship, the two are now in danger, as they are tiny beings in a gigantic world. Suddenly, a basketball player drops his ball nearby and they both have to get away as quickly as possible. They run towards a lamppost, only to be sniffed out by a dog walking by. Once again, the captain and crew 3 are forced to flee, only for a guy with a blower to accidentally push them too far. The captain lands safely on the sidewalk, only for number 3 to end up in the middle of the road and get her foot stuck in a piece of chewing gum. He sets off to save her, but just then, a cab is speeding towards them. With no time to dodge, the two curl up on the ground, pass through a small gap in the tire and narrowly save themselves. Afterwards, the couple look for Dave and find him walking down the street. To reach him, the captain takes a plastic bag and, with the resistance of the air, he and number 3 manage to float towards Dave. They're almost to the ship, but a bus crashes into the plastic bag and they're both trapped in the windshield. Fortunately, the shuttle approaches Dave and, with the momentum of the wiper, the captain and number 3 are thrown and manage to reach the ship. While they're climbing into it, number 2 orders the ship to increase speed, but it has very little energy left. Then, the villain uses Dave's strength to take a cab in the middle of the road and orders the driver to go to the Statue of Liberty. At the same time, at the police station, Stevie calls for reinforcements, while Dooley takes the coffee cup and finds number 17 inside it. The little alien explains what happened and the policeman decides to help him find his ship. Nearby, Gina, Josh and Mark drive to find Dave, because the boy fears that his friend is in danger. Finally, Dave reaches the Statue of Liberty, where he has landed on planet Earth. Then, under the control of number 2, he intends to throw the orb into the middle of the sea to collect the salt from the water. The other members of the crew warn that if he does this, the planet's environment will suffer a great imbalance and all life will be in danger. However, the villain doesn't care and orders the orb to be thrown into the open sea. Luckily, the captain and number 3 arrive in time in the engine room and activate Dave's secondary controls. Thanks to this, the ship stops the movement of its arms so as not to launch the orb, but number 2 doesn't give up and fights for control of the machine. After fighting each other, the ship becomes unbalanced and releases the orb into the sea, which begins to create a huge whirlpool with its immense power. The end of planet Earth is near, but the captain returns to the cockpit and orders number 2 to be expelled. The villain tries to resist, but the crew decide to follow the real captain's orders and send the man to be imprisoned in the back of the ship. With that, the captain resumes his post, but the orb continues to absorb the planet's water. The only alternative is to use Dave's remaining energy to suck up the orb, but if they do that, there will be no energy left to return to their planet. Faced with this dilemma, the captain and the rest of the crew agree to save the Earth and the remaining energy is directed to Dave's right arm. Through it, a strong magnetic energy is emitted, which attracts the orb to his hand. Dave immediately throws it into space and the orb disintegrates, saving the Earth from destruction. Shortly afterwards, Gina, Josh and Mark find Dave, who is completely without power. They are joined by Dooley, number 17, and Stevie, who is pointing his gun at the alien ship. Without the energy to activate the shields, any shot will be fatal for the ship and its crew. Aware of this, Josh sets out to help his friend and, remembering what happened at the hospital with the defibrillator, he takes the policeman's taser and uses it on Dave. With this electrical discharge, the ship completely regains its energy. The entire crew celebrates and the captain exits through the top hatch, i.e. Dave's mouth. Meeting his friends in person for the first time, he explains to everyone who they are and why they have arrived on Earth. With everything explained, the captain thanks Josh for his courage, and Gina for teaching him about love, something he discovered with number 3. So the whole crew prepares to return to their planet, but first, the number 17 comes out of Dooley's pocket and asks him to put it back on the ship. With the team complete, Dave's thrusters are activated to travel into space. Only before taking off, the FBI shows up and traps the ship with a net. In a matter of seconds, several agents show up to take him away, but the crew manages to escape through the escape pod, located in Dave's foot. The foot turns into a rocket and heads back to its planet, with only Gina and Josh watching and saying goodbye to their friends.